and happy Thanksgiving week. This is Terri Lahlou, one of the managing brokers at eXp Realty for Maryland, and I'm coming to you today for the newsletter portion under the managing broker, and I'm doing a video, so howdy guys, happy Thanksgiving. A couple of things I want to talk about are just some things that we've seen that have been incorrect in some of the paperwork that we've received, either in the brokers where we're signing Lisa's name or under the contract compliance. So one of the things is please make sure that you are using our current address. That address is 8115 Maple Lawn Boulevard, Suite 350, in Fulton, Maryland, 20759. If you have anything saved on your desktop or in your templates that has the National Harbor address, that is an outdated address that we no longer use, nor do we want any mail going to National Harbor. So anything after August 1st, please make sure it has the Fulton address. Secondly, anything that you're putting in rentals or anything, any listings, any paperwork, please make sure that that's uploaded into SkySlope within 48 hours to be compliant. We get a lot of files, and I know contract compliance, Neely and Victoria are very busy reviewing files all day long. So please want to get those in within 48 hours. We've seen, especially rentals lately, that have come in after it's been rented. So we basically needed to start on the front end of that, not the back end after you've signed the lease and everything's done. Thirdly, I want to go over, everybody's probably seen the Maryland Resource Guide, and it's got all of your forms and everything you need in it. So I know we send that out to people. We, when you join, we give it to you, new agent orientation. Anytime we do Tuesday trainings classes, we're really good about dropping that in the chat box. So please use that as your resource for all of your MR forms, all of your EXP forms, referrals, whatever you need. Everything in there is updated, and all of the new forms are in there. Secondly, I want to talk about understanding whom agents represent. I've seen this recently where it's being signed. It's saying on the second page, it says, we, the seller, landlord, or buyer, tenant, acknowledge receipt of a copy of the disclosure. And it's being signed that, like, let's say I'm the buyer. I'm signing it as a buyer, that it's also being represented EXP by the buyer. So the way it should be is it should be the opposite. So it's we, let's say I'm representing the seller. So I'm going to say we, the buyer tenant, acknowledge, because I'm getting their signature, receipt of the copy of the disclosure, and that EXP Realty, which is the firm name, and say myself, Terri Lahlou, as a salesperson or working as a seller's agent. So, and then I would have the buyer sign that so they know that I'm representing the seller and that the buyer's unrepresented. So at the top on where you sign, again, it would be whoever's signing that would acknowledge receipt of the disclosure and that you, the EXP agent, is representing the other party. So in this situation would be the seller. So that's one thing. Secondly, consent for dual agency. As you know, in Maryland, you cannot be a dual agent. Therefore, you can be an unrepresented party. You can write a contract for the buyer. As I just went over, I could be representing the seller, and a buyer comes in my open house and they want me to write the contract. Well, I can do that. I just need them to sign the unrepresented. Where the dual agency comes in is where both agents are represented by EXP. So we're both agents on the selling and the buying side. And you do need to get both signatures. So let's say I have a listing. So on the second page, it says consent for dual agency. And you have the seller at the property address. You write that in, you put the firm name. EXP Realty is acting as dual agent for me as the seller and the property and you list the address, or the buyer and the purchase of a property listed for sale in the above reference broker. So whoever is signing that signs that. Then when you're actually ratified and you need both parties to sign it, there's an affirmation of prior consent to dual agency. So that's where it has the buyer and the seller re-sign. You put the property address, you get the property, the signature of the buyer, and then you get the signature of the seller. So you put the name of the, it says the undersigned seller hereby affirm consent to dual agency for the buyer identified below. So you would write the buyer's name and then sign it. Okay, so going on next. Lastly, I want to just talk about the property inspections addendum. So this was one of the forms that was changed. So the PIAs, we refer to it, the property inspection addendum. Make sure when you're doing this that the buyer's initials, when they submit the contract, are going to initial off on any inspections that they want. We're seeing where they're coming in and they're not initialed by the seller. So the buyer is initialed and maybe they've ratified, but we need the seller to say, yes, we acknowledge that and we allow it. So there's 1 through 8 where it says buyer's initials, and then next to that it says seller's initials. So please just make sure that you get the seller's initials, and then everybody signs off on it, and you are good to go. And it requires the buyer's and the seller's signature on page 3. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. It's about a 6-minute video, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I want to wish everyone a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Have time to spend with your family and friends, and have a great Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day. Bye.